I was 15 years old when my father screamed those words that still echo in my mind. "You are not welcome here." It was a rainy October night, and I stood outside our house soaked to the bone, watching the door slam in my face. All because of a lie my older brother Travis told. A lie so calculated, so cruel, that it tore our family apart. But 2 weeks later, karma came knocking when my mother came home early and overheard Travis laughing about his scheme, with his friends not realizing she was standing right behind him. Before I tell you how one rainy night changed everything in my family, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your city in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear more real stories about betrayal and justice. Now let me take you back to the moment my world fell apart. Growing up in a 2-story house on Oak Street in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon, I thought I had a pretty normal life. My dad, Richard, worked as a construction engineer, the kind of man who valued hard work and discipline above everything else. He had a short temper, sure, but I always believed if you stayed honest and did your best, you would earn his respect. My mom, Linda, was a nurse at Portland General Hospital, working long shifts that often kept her away from home. She was the gentle balance to my father's strictness, always ready with a hug and a kind word when things got tough. Then there was Travis, my older brother by 2 years. At 17, he was supposed to be my role model, but somewhere along the way our relationship had turned sour. I was pulling a 3.8 GPA playing shooting guard on the school basketball team and generally trying to make my parents proud. Travis, on the other hand, was coasting through junior year with a 2.5 average, spending most of his time gaming in his room with the door locked. He had a small circle of friends, guys, who seemed more interested in cutting class than actually doing anything productive. I did not realize it then, but Travis was drowning in jealousy. Every time Dad clapped me on the shoulder after a good report card, every time Mom bragged about my basketball games to her coworkers, Travis would retreat further into himself. I remember one particular dinner in early September when I brought home the Student of the Month certificate. Dad actually stood up and shook my hand like I was a business partner. Travis sat across the table, fork frozen halfway to his mouth, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscles working in his cheeks. He did not say a word the entire meal. The small acts of sabotage started after that. My homework would mysteriously disappear from my backpack. My basketball shoes would end up in the garage instead of by the front door, where I always left them. Once I overheard Travis on the phone with one of his friends saying something about me always getting everything handed to me. I brushed it off, figuring he was just going through a rough patch. Teenagers say stupid things when they are frustrated, right? I even tried to help him out, spending an entire Sunday afternoon walking him through algebra equations he could not figure out. He never once said thank you. The real trouble started when Dad bought me a brand new BMX bike for my 15th birthday. It was a beautiful deep blue mongoose with chrome handlebars worth about $400. I had been saving up for one myself, working part-time at the community center, but Dad surprised me early. Travis watched from the top of the stairs as I wheeled it into the garage, testing the gears and the handbrakes. That night I heard him ask Dad for the same bike. Dad said no, explaining that Travis had let his old bike rust in the rain, because he never bothered to maintain it. "Why should we buy you another expensive bike when you cannot take care of what you have?" Dad asked. I saw the fury flash across Travis's face before he turned and stormed up to his room. Later that evening, I was passing by his door when I heard him talking on his phone. He always gets everything. I am sick of it. The voice was low and bitter, filled with a resentment I had never heard before. Something cold settled in my stomach, but I told myself he would get over it. Brothers fight. Brothers get jealous. It was normal, or so I thought. A week later, I found a long scratch down the seat of my new bike. The metal underneath gleamed through the blue paint, a deliberate gash that had not been there the day before. I asked Travis point blank if he knew anything about it. He looked me right in the eye and said, "Why would I touch your stupid bike?" I had no proof, so I let it drop. But that feeling in my gut, that sense that something was wrong between us, only grew stronger. The night everything fell apart was a Friday in mid-October. Mom had left for work around 6:30 in the evening, starting one of her infamous overnight shifts that would not end until 7 the next morning. The hospital was short-staffed, so she had been pulling doubles almost every week. Dad was home, settled into his recliner in the living room, with a beer and a baseball game on TV. I was upstairs in my room trying to finish an essay on The Great Gatsby that was due Monday. Travis was in his room down the hall, the familiar sounds of gunfire and explosions from his video games bleeding through the walls. Around 9 o'clock, I heard Travis shout from upstairs, "Dad, Dad, come here!" There was panic in his voice, real urgency. I dropped my pen and ran out of my room just as Dad came pounding up the stairs. Travis was standing in the doorway of Dad's bedroom, his face a perfect mask of shock and concern. "Dad," he said, breathing hard, "I just came up here looking for you, and I found your wallet on the bed. It has been opened. The money is gone." My father pushed past Travis into the master bedroom. I followed, my heart starting to race for reasons I could not explain. Dad grabbed his brown leather wallet from where it sat on the nightstand. He flipped it open, and I saw his face drain of color. The billfold section was empty. $300, Dad said quietly. I had $300 in here. $20 bills and 50s. "Where is it?" Travis turned slowly and pointed at me. His finger was steady, his expression perfectly crafted to look reluctant and pained. "I saw Bobby coming out of your room around 8:30, he said. "I thought he was just looking for you to ask you something. I did not think anything of it until now." The world seemed to tilt sideways. "What?" The word came out as barely a whisper. "I was in my room the whole time." "I have not been in Dad's room all week." Travis shook his head sadly, like he was disappointed in me. "I am not lying, Dad. I saw him with my own eyes. When he spotted me in the hallway, he looked nervous, like he had been caught doing something wrong." Dad turned to me, and I saw something I had never seen directed at me before. Suspicion, raw, burning suspicion. "Where is the money, Bobby? I did not take anything." My voice cracked. "I swear I did not even go into your room. I have been doing homework since 7:30. You can check my essay, it is half done." "Then why would your brother lie?" Dad's voice was rising now, the vein in his temple starting to throb the way it did when he was really angry. "He has no reason to blame you. What does he get out of it?" I spun toward Travis, desperate. "Maybe he is the one who took it. He has been jealous of me ever since you bought me that bike. He has been mad at me for weeks." Travis's face crumpled like I had struck him. "How can you say that?" His voice actually trembled. "I am trying to be honest here, and you are throwing me under the bus. I am your brother, Bobby." Dad held up a hand. "Enough. Bobby, I am going to search your room. If you have nothing to hide, you will not mind." I did not mind, because I knew I was innocent. I followed Dad back to my room and stood in the doorway as he began methodically going through my things. He opened my closet and rifled through my clothes. He pulled out my desk drawers, checking behind and underneath them. He went through my backpack, my basketball duffel bag, even the pockets of my jeans hanging in the closet. I stood there, arms wrapped around myself, watching him destroy my sense of security with every drawer he yanked open. Then he moved to my bed. He lifted the mattress, and I saw his hand stop. When he pulled it back, he was holding a white envelope. My stomach dropped before he even opened it. Dad's fingers tore at the seal, and bills spilled out onto my bedspread. 20s and 50s fanning out across my blue comforter like accusations made of paper. "That is impossible," I breathed. "I did not put that there. Dad, I swear to you, I did not put that there." Travis appeared in the doorway, and when I looked at his face, I saw it. Just for a second, just a flash. Satisfaction. Cold, calculated satisfaction. Then it was gone, replaced by that same wounded shock. "Bobby," he said softly, "how could you do this?" Dad was shaking the money crumpled in his fist. "You not only stole from me, but you lied to my face. You looked me in the eye and lied." I was crying now, hot tears streaming down my face. "Dad, please listen to me." Travis set me up. He put that money there. He has been waiting for a chance to get back at me. Please, you have to believe me. But Dad was not hearing me anymore. His hand clamped down on my shoulder like a vice, and he pulled me toward the stairs. "I have had enough of your excuses. I raised you better than this." I tried to dig my heels in grabbing for the banister. "Please, Dad, call Mom. Call her right now. She will believe me. She will listen. Your mother is working, and I am not bothering her with this disgrace." Dad's voice was ice. "You are going to learn that actions have consequences." He dragged me down the stairs, and I saw the front door getting closer. Beyond it, through the small window at the top, I could see rain streaking down in sheets. "No," I said, my voice breaking into sobs. "Dad, it is pouring outside. Please do not do this." His hand reached for the doorknob, and I knew in that moment he was serious. "Dad, I am 15 years old. Where am I supposed to go?" He threw the door open. The sound of rain filled the entryway, along with a gust of cold October wind that made me shiver. Dad looked at me, and his eyes were harder than I had ever seen them. "You are not welcome here. Get out, and do not come back until you learn to tell the truth." His hand shoved my shoulder, and I stumbled forward onto the front porch. The rain hit me immediately cold and merciless. I spun around, reaching for the door, but it was already swinging shut. "Dad, please." The door slammed, and I heard the deadbolt click into place. I stood there on the porch, rain soaking through my t-shirt and jeans within seconds. The porch light went off, plunging me into darkness, except for the distant streetlights. I looked up at the house, at the warm yellow glow coming from the windows, and saw a shadow move in the upstairs window. Travis was standing there perfectly still, looking down at me. Even through the rain and the distance, I could see his face. There was no emotion on it at all, just a blank, satisfied calm. I turned and walked into the rain, not knowing where I was going, only knowing I could not stay there. I walked for what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes. My clothes were plastered to my skin, my shoes squelching with every step. I had nowhere to go except to my best friend Kyle's house 3 blocks away. When I finally stumbled up to his front door and knocked, it was Kyle's mom, Martha, who answered. She took one look at me standing there dripping and shivering and pulled me inside immediately. "What happened?" she demanded, wrapping a towel around my shoulders. "Bobby, you are soaked through." "Where are your parents?" I told her everything, the words tumbling out between chattering teeth. She listened with growing horror, and when I finished, she got Kyle to bring me dry clothes while she tried calling my mom. Linda did not answer the first 3 times. She was probably in the middle of helping a patient. Finally, on the 4th try, Martha got through and explained the situation. I heard Mom's voice on the other end, tinny and distant, saying she would call back as soon as she could. That night, I slept on Kyle's couch, or tried to. Mostly I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. How had Travis done it? When had he snuck the money into my room? Had he been planning this for days? Or had he done it on impulse when he saw the opportunity? The questions circled like vultures, but none of them had answers. The first week at Kyle's house was awkward. Martha was kind, but their place was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Barely enough space for their own family, let alone a surprise house guest. I tried to make myself useful doing dishes and taking out trash without being asked, but I could feel the strain. Kyle never said anything, but I caught him and his mom having hushed conversations in the kitchen that stopped when I walked in. I still went to school, but I felt like a ghost walking through the halls. Friends asked if I was okay, noticing the dark circles under my eyes and the way I flinched whenever someone touched my shoulder. I told them I was fine, just tired. How could I explain that my own father had thrown me out, that my own brother had destroyed my life for a bike he did not get? I tried calling Mom every day. Sometimes she picked up, sometimes she did not. When I did get through, she sounded exhausted and distracted. She said she believed me, that she would talk to Dad, but there was always a note of uncertainty in her voice. "Your father saw the money in your room." "Bobby," she said during one call, "I know you are telling the truth about not taking it, but I do not understand how it got there. Are you absolutely sure Travis would do something like this?" That doubt in her voice cut deeper than anything Dad had said. Even Mom, my gentle, caring mother, could not fully accept that Travis had set me up. I wanted to scream that yes, I was sure that Travis hated me, that he had been planning something like this. But what proof did I have? Just a feeling in my gut and a scratch on a bike. The second week was worse. Martha's hospitality was wearing thin, though she tried not to show it. One evening, Kyle pulled me aside and said quietly, "Mom says you can stay 1 more week, but then you need to figure something out. Maybe try calling your dad again. Maybe enough time has passed." But I knew Dad. When Richard made up his mind about something, especially about a matter of honor and honesty, he did not budge. I was the son who stole from him, who lied to him. In his eyes, I had committed the worst betrayal. At school, I started seeing Travis in the hallways again. I had been avoiding him, taking different routes to my classes, eating lunch in the library instead of the cafeteria. But you can only avoid someone for so long in a building with 1,200 students. One day, I turned a corner and almost walked straight into him. He was with his friends, Justin and Blake, laughing about something. When he saw me, the laughter died. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then Travis smiled. It was not a warm smile or even a cruel smile. It was satisfied, like he was looking at a problem he had successfully solved. He turned and walked away without saying a word. That smile haunted me for the rest of the day. I sat in the back of my history class, not hearing a word the teacher said, just seeing that expression over and over. Travis had won. He had gotten exactly what he wanted. I was gone, removed from the house, no longer the golden boy stealing all of Dad's attention and praise. And the best part from his perspective was that he had done it in a way that made me look like the villain. The day everything changed was a Thursday 13 days after I'd been kicked out. Mom had been working double shifts all week because the hospital was critically short-staffed during flu season. But that Thursday, she was finally given a day off to compensate for all the overtime. She came home around 3 in the afternoon, planning to catch up on sleep in the quiet house. What she did not know was that Dad would not be home until 6, and Travis thought he had the place to himself. Around 4 o'clock, Travis and his friends Justin and Blake came back from school. They dumped their backpacks in the entryway and headed straight for the living room, turning on the PlayStation and cranking up the volume on some shooter game. Mom was upstairs in the master bedroom trying to sleep through the noise. She had taken some medicine to help her rest, but the sound of the boys laughing and yelling downstairs kept pulling her back to consciousness. She was about to go down and tell them to keep it down when she heard Justin ask a question that made her freeze. Dude, where did you get the cash for that new controller? Justin's voice carried clearly up the stairs. Travis laughed. Oh man, that was genius. I stole $300 from my dad's wallet. There was a pause. Then Blake said, What, are you serious? Did you not get caught? Nope. I blamed it on Bobby. Stupid kid, Dad kicked him out 2 weeks ago. Travis's voice was full of pride, like he was bragging about acing a test he had not studied for. Mom sat up in bed, her exhaustion forgotten. She moved to the top of the stairs, her hands gripping the railing so hard her knuckles went white. Wait, your little brother. Justin sounded shocked. That is cold, man. Travis laughed again, louder this time. He deserved it. Always the golden boy. Always getting everything. Now he knows what it is like to lose something. But is he not like living on the street now? Blake asked. I do not care, Travis said, and Mom could hear him. Clearly could hear the callous disregard in every word. Maybe he will learn some humility. Besides, he is probably fine. He is always fine. That is his whole thing. Mom came down the stairs slowly, her face a mask of cold fury I'd never seen before, not even when I was little and had done something truly wrong. She reached the bottom and walked into the living room where Travis and his friends were sprawled on the couch. Travis was mid-laugh when he saw her. The color drained from his face. Mom, he said, his voice suddenly very small. I did not know you were home. Obviously, Mom said, her voice like ice. Justin, Blake, go home. Right now. The two boys scrambled for their backpacks and were out the door in under 30 seconds. Travis stood up slowly, and I can only imagine what he saw in Mom's eyes. She had heard everything, every word, every cruel laugh. There was no way to take it back, no way to claim he had been joking or that they had misunderstood. I heard every single word Mom said quietly. How could you do that to your brother? How could you let your father throw Bobby out in the rain knowing he was innocent? Knowing you had set him up? Travis tried to speak, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Mom, I was just joking around with them. I did not mean it. Do not you dare lie to me, Linda said, her voice rising now. I heard you laughing about destroying your brother's life. You think this is funny. You think ruining Bobby's relationship with his father is some kind of game. Travis looked down at his feet, unable to meet her eyes. I am sorry, he whispered. You are sorry? Mom pulled out her phone. You are going to be a lot sorrier. She dialed Dad's number, and I found out later that she told him if he did not come home immediately, she was going to pack a bag and leave. Richard made it home in under 30 minutes. When Dad walked through the door, his face was set in that expression he got when he was preparing for bad news on a job site. Linda, what is going on? This better be important. I left in the middle of a meeting with contractors. Mom told him everything. She recounted word for word what she had heard Travis say to his friends. As she spoke, Dad's face changed. The irritation at being called home faded, replaced by something I had never seen in him before. Shock. Real, genuine shock that his own son could be capable of such calculated cruelty. When Mom finished, Dad turned to Travis, who was sitting on the couch looking like he wanted to disappear into the cushions. Tell me she is wrong, Dad said, his voice dangerously quiet. Tell me she misheard you. Travis opened his mouth, but nothing came out. The silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Travis whispered, I cannot. Something broke in Dad's expression. You let me throw your brother out into the rain. For 2 weeks I have been thinking my son was a thief and a liar, and all this time it was you. You did this because of a bike. Travis started crying, big gasping sobs that would have moved me to sympathy 2 weeks ago. But now, knowing what I knew, even imagining the scene, I felt nothing. Dad, I'm sorry. Travis choked out. I was so mad. He gets everything, and I get nothing. I did not think it would go this far. I did not think you would actually kick him out. That does not make it better. Dad roared, and even from 3 blocks away at Pizza Pete's, where I was wiping down tables in a sauce-stained uniform, I imagine I could have heard him. That makes it worse. You planned this. You waited for your mother to be gone. You planted that money, and then you watched your brothers suffer. What is wrong with you? Dad grabbed his phone and called Martha, asking where I was. When he found out I was working at the pizza place to save money for a room to rent, something in him crumbled. My boy is working at a pizza shop to survive because of your lies, he said to Travis. My son thinks I hate him. 20 minutes later, both Mom and Dad walked into Pizza Pete's. I was behind the counter, trying to scrub cheese off the prep table. My uniform shirt had tomato sauce splattered across the front, and I probably smelled like pepperoni and sweat. When I saw them come through the door, my first instinct was to run. I thought maybe Dad had come to yell at me again to tell me to stop embarrassing the family by working at some pizza joint. But Dad walked straight up to me and pulled me into a hug so tight I could barely breathe. I am so sorry, son, he said, his voice breaking. I am so sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have believed you. Mom was crying too, her arms wrapped around both of us. We know the truth now, baby. Travis confessed everything. You were right. He set you up. I could not hold it together anymore. 2 weeks of pain and betrayal and loneliness came pouring out of me right there in the middle of Pizza Pete's, with my manager and 2 coworkers watching awkwardly from the kitchen. I cried into Dad's shoulder like I was 5 years old again, and he held me like he would never let go. We went home together. The 3 of us walked into the house around 7:30, and Travis was still sitting on the couch where they had left him. When he saw me, he stood up quickly, his face blotchy and red from crying. Bobby, he started, but I held up my hand. I do not want to hear it, I said. My voice was steady, calmer than I felt. You watched Dad throw me out in the rain. You knew I had nowhere to go, and you laughed about it with your friends. You did not care if I was safe or hungry or scared. All you cared about was taking me down, because you were jealous. Travis was sobbing now. I am sorry, I am so sorry. I did not think it would go this far. I did not think Dad would actually kick you out. I just wanted him to be mad at you for once, instead of proud. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I felt something shift in my chest. I was angry, yes, furious even, but I also felt sorry for him. Sorry that he had let jealousy consume him so completely that he thought destroying his brother was the only solution. I do not know if I can ever forgive you, I said quietly, but I will not let hate consume me the way it consumed you. That is the difference between us. Dad laid down the law that night. Travis was grounded for 3 months, no exceptions. He had to do every chore in the house, no video games, no hanging out with friends. More importantly, he had to get a part-time job and pay back the $300 he stole, plus another $200 for what it cost me to survive those 2 weeks. He had to write me a letter of apology, not just some half-hearted scribble, but a real, thoughtful explanation of what he had done and why. And he had to start seeing a therapist to deal with his jealousy issues. Dad also admitted his own failure. I let my anger cloud my judgment, he said to me that night. I taught you to always tell the truth, and then when you needed me to believe you most, I did not. That is on me, Bobby. I should have listened. I should have trusted you. The weeks that followed were strange. I moved back into my room, back into my life, but things felt different. The house did not feel quite as safe as it used to. I kept my door locked at night, even though Travis was sleeping in the room down the hall under strict supervision. I went back to school, back to basketball practice, and my friends welcomed me back without asking too many questions. Kyle's mom, Martha, hugged me when she saw me and told me I was always welcome at their house, which meant more than she probably knew. Travis did everything Dad asked. He worked at the grocery store after school, bagging groceries and collecting carts from the parking lot. He cleaned the house top to bottom every weekend. He wrote me a 5-page letter that I read once and then put in a drawer. I was not ready to forgive him, not yet, maybe not ever. But I also was not going to let the hatred eat me alive. About 2 months after everything happened, Travis knocked on my door one evening. I almost did not answer, but something made me get up and open it. He was standing there with his hands in his pockets, looking thinner than I remembered. He had lost weight from the stress and the work. "I know sorry is not enough," he said. "I know I destroyed something between us that might never come back. But I want you to know I am trying to be better. I am seeing Dr. Harrison twice a week, and she is helping me understand why I did what I did. It does not excuse it, but at least I am trying to figure it out." I looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "I see that you are trying. It will take time, Travis. A lot of time. But maybe one day we can be brothers again. Real brothers, not just two people who happen to live in the same house." He nodded, his eyes wet. "That is all I can ask for." Looking back now, that rainy night when I was 15 changed me in ways I am still discovering. I learned that jealousy is a poison that destroys from the inside out, that it can turn someone you love into someone you do not recognize. I learned that trust once broken takes years to rebuild, and sometimes it never fully comes back. But I also learned something more important. I learned that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Travis hurt me deeply and deliberately, but if I spent the rest of my life hating him, the only person I would be punishing was myself. Travis and I are still working on our relationship. Some days are better than others. Some days I look at him and remember that kid laughing with his friends about ruining my life, and I have to walk away before I say something I will regret. Other days I see him genuinely trying to be better, going to therapy, working hard, keeping his head down, and I think maybe there is hope for us. Dad changed too. He is slower to anger now, more willing to listen. He learned a hard lesson about jumping to conclusions, about letting his temper make decisions that his heart should have made. Mom went back to her regular shifts, but she makes more time for family dinners now, insisting we all sit down together at least 3 times a week. It is awkward sometimes with Travis and me sitting across from each other, but it is better than the alternative. I am 23 now, working as a junior architect in Seattle. Travis is 25, finishing up a degree in computer science. We talk maybe once a month, stilted conversations where we both avoid talking about that October night. Maybe one day we will be able to discuss it without the weight of guilt and anger crushing the words. Maybe one day I will be able to truly forgive him, not just in words, but in my heart. I am not there yet, but I am trying. Just like he is trying. Because in the end, family is complicated. Family can hurt you deeper than anyone else, because they know exactly where to strike. But family can also be the ones who help you heal if you let them. I chose not to let bitterness define my life. I chose to move forward not because Travis earned my forgiveness, but because I deserved my own peace. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one who shares your blood. But maybe that is exactly why it matters most. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming betrayal and finding your way back to yourself. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that even in your darkest moments, there is always a path forward. Stay strong and remember that forgiveness is not about them. It is about you. Take care.